Are you on
Oh,
internet
there
now?
we have our hi, Katie. We have a person. Yay!
And
Let us
Jamie?
know, Katie, if oh good. Yeah, let me know if I'm unstable.
Well, we all know we're all a little bit in that direction right now. But if one of us freezes, tell us, because sometimes it's like you still see yourself, but you don't have the problem as you or the other person.
I think
Um,
it's probably me.
it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's probably
It's
me.
it is. Also, I'm gonna just slightly I just want you to know what I'm dealing with right now.
Oh, I want just a constant. Yes, just kiss. I just want kisses from the dog the whole time.
Okay. She's like staring at her right now, like admiring her. Okay, that's a lot. How
Um,
are you doing? I'm so happy to talk to you.
I know. I'm so happy to be talking to you. Oh my God. How are you feeling 5 days before your book comes out? Is that right?
Yeah, Tuesday, man. Woo!
Tuesday? How are you feeling?
Like pretty good. It's always that moment of, kind of everything is done. Like
Mm-hmm.
what will be will be.
Mm-hmm. There's like, right.
um,
Not really much more for you to do.
yeah, I'm excited about my events. I'm going to a couple new bookstores, which will
Fun.
be cool. Yeah, I'm going to the Novel Neighbor in St. Louis, which I've
Oh,
never been to.
I hear that one's good. My sister went there for an event when her book came out, and she said it was like her best attended event, even though
Oh
she
my
has like
god.
no real St. Louis. I think it's just like there's not as much competition with other events. It's like this is the thing to do in town.
I think they are like really, really good at events. In fact, I think Reese and Harlan had one there. I think I was looking at the schedule. Um,
Oh, just Reese and Harlan and then Vanessa.
and
No big
me,
deal.
yeah, that's like basically that's all they have going. I mean, they're good. No, they have like I think is it Alex Harlow? Is that she's like a
Yeah.
huge yeah,
Aleeks,
she's
yeah.
the yeah, she's the day after me. So like it's fine.
It's
No,
fine.
I'm excited. I'm also like a little bit obsessed with their booksellers. I made a really unhinged post where I basically pretended like I was one because they always do these cute little like they hold the books
Hmm.
photos, and I don't know. I'm just geeky about seeing the people who actually are selling the books and like
Yeah,
what they love, the like nosiness of being an author, writer. And so I'm excited to like meet them because I know them from the internet.
because they're your best friends. They just don't know it yet.
I'm like, I really have to be like, don't be unhinged. Don't be unstable like
Don't
my
be unstable
internet.
like your connection, whatever you do.
Oh my God. It's so, but we're mostly cooped up on our own. So when they let us out,
Right? I know. I know. Like readers, this is why we're like this.
yeah, it's like we're just all alone. And then we get out and we're like, ah.
Like there's a whole world out there. What a thrill.
It is insane. Speaking of the whole world, I want to immediately jump to um, your LA trip because I mean, these Hello Sunshine events look next level. So
They are. I don't know
tell
how
me
they do it. They're
everything.
they're like wizards. So this was the third Shine Away festival, and Shine Away is like the Hello Sunshine prime, banner event, marquee event. So there was like a book party on Friday, and that was like an add-on to the tickets. But like a bunch of the authors were there milling about, and then there was an event with a couple of the authors and Danielle Robay, the who hosts the Bookmarked podcast. So that's like the Reese's Book Club podcast. And she talked to Jodel Gonzalez and Ali Condi, and then there were some more, and then the panel, like the official big festival was Saturday, Sunday, and there were lots of different panels and a few going on at different, at the same time in different spaces. And there were a few more book events throughout that, but then also just other big important women in business and celebrities and other stuff like talking on panels and answering questions. And we saw Reese and Harlan like talk about Gone Before Goodbye together, which is very cool. Now it's telling me that my internet connection is unstable. So we're doing great.
Everyone's rude. Everyone's unstable. We get it. We get it.
We get it. We get it. We're unstable.
Um,
Um, I
that's
still see everything fine, so hopefully it's fine.
Yeah, no, you're good for me. Okay, so you're just like walking around seeing not only like Reese and Harlan, but like all of these other authors who some of them are your friends, but like
Mhm.
also just incredible. It's just the way the community of it just also looks great, but like it's such a cool idea. And,
Yeah.
of course, she's a
She really
connector, like, she can build
Yeah,
up.
she's such a super connector. She, like, created this incredible community, and something is happening where, like, because she is so kind of authentic and warm and all about
Mhm.
connection, like, it trickles down to everyone below her and the team putting it together, the people that it attracted. Like, can I tell you my Reese run-in story from the weekend?
Yes, please.
So, okay, I there was, like, the main bathroom on one floor, and then on the 3rd floor was, like, the books, sale area and sort of the bookish area, and there was a long line for the bathroom, so I was like, "I'm just gonna pop up to the 3rd floor because there won't be a line at the bathroom there." So I go and I walk back to the elevators, hit a button, ready to leave, and, like, I just got a feeling. I was like, "For some reason, I wanna stay on this floor, and I wanna, like, see who's hanging around here." So I turn, I go around the corner, and I see Steph Smith of Pie Lady Books and Ashley Elston and Megan Miranda. And they're standing together and they just look sort of tense. And I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? And they're like, And I was like, oh, like, we still haven't gotten a photo in front of this photo backdrop. Do you guys want to do that? And they're like, yeah, okay. And they're kind of like following me, but they're all being weird. So I'm like, guys, like, what's going on? And finally, they're like, well, Reese and Harbin are on the balcony right now. And I was like, well, then what the hell are we doing over here? Like, trying to get a photo. Let's go. So I like leave the charge. I was like, come on, guys, like, no time like the present. So we charge outside, and Reese and Harlan are standing together, getting their photo taken in front of this backdrop. It's like the photo that Reese put up yesterday, the two of them. It's a great photo. And then their handler, and people are sort of standing around nervous, and I kind of like charge up as far as I can. And then their handler, like Reese has a handler the whole weekend. Like she's,
Yeah.
always got somebody pulling her away. So she's like, okay, guys, let's go, like taking them away. And they're weaving their way sort of back out, talking to each other. And I used all of my energy to just like stare.
Right?
Maybe I was doing something witchy because there was, I was like,
Mhm.
I was on it. And so I caught her eye and she stops mid sentence. And Reese Witherspoon goes, oh my gosh, Andy, and walked over and gave me a hug. And then turns to Harlan Coben and is like, Harlan, this is one of our authors, Andy Bartz. And I was like, oh, and I'm here with some of the other authors too. And then they all, like
Right.
little chipmunks, like scurry up and like stand there together. Um,
Mhm.
and then, yeah, so I was able to congratulate them on the book and briefly meet Harlan. And then, we were, of course, like, can we get a photo with you? And they were like, yeah, of course. So we got a photo.
Which
But
is now
just
your holiday card.
which is
Sorry.
now like yes, like my phone background, like my wallpaper, like all the things. But it was just really stunning to me because she has over 100 authors at this point that are Reese's Book Club authors. I met her for 5 minutes last year in a sea of other authors. And the fact that she could like turn to me and be like, that's Andy Bartz is just true. This is why Reese is Reese, I guess. Like it was very remarkable and very impressive to me. And like, yeah, it just speaks to how much he actually cares about people and connecting and it feels very authentic. So yeah, it was a highlight of the weekend.
Oh, I love that. Also, your book did really well. I mean, like, not every Reese pick hits the New York Times, and yours did. Like, that's, I mean, very memorable.
That is true, but also like there's a good number of Reese's Book Club pick authors whose profile is, I'm
Yeah,
still hanging out in the mid list, whose profiles have
yeah,
been rated way higher than mine and sold a million copies and all that. So like,
yes,
yeah, it's still impressive. So my
yeah.
agent was yeah, my agent was like, "Oh, your book must have really left some impression." And I was like, "You know what?" And then I contacted my book to film agent because we were never here recently. The option got returned, and I was like, we need to pitch it to Hello Sunshine now.
Yeah, hell yes.
So she was like, I'm on it. Very
Oh,
LA.
good. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Stuff comes around. Like, they have,
Mhm.
I guarantee you, whoever heard it the first time, they have new people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's this business. It's in and out, and it's like you come back around, and that's how we got our Widows deal. We ended up at the place Amazon at first had said no, and then 3 years later they said hell yes. Like, you just never know.
Yeah, yeah. It just needs to like strike the right person at the right time. And yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like at some points everyone's looking for limited series, and at some point everyone's looking for, continuing series. So looking for different things and yeah, who knows? But it was a highlight of the weekend.
that's
Um,
amazing. Look,
yeah.
Michelle has a comment. This is our first comment. Thank you, Michelle. So she just popped on
Shell
to say
hot.
thank you.
Oh, amazing.
Do you wanna talk a little bit about it? Like, I have a very minor point, which is you look like such a badass in the New York Times. We'll talk about
Uh,
other things too,
Thank you. I'm
but you
meeting up
really
with a
did.
friend this afternoon to get the physical paper because I haven't actually seen it in paper yet, so I'm very excited for that. Um, so what's the high level? I've like given so many interviews where I've gone to low level, lots of detail, but high level is that I and two other authors named plaintiffs, Charles Graeber and Kirk Wallace Johnson, sued Anthropic for using our copyrighted books, pirated. They had taken, thousands of pirated, hundreds of thousands of pirated books and fed them into their chatbot Claude to train it, and that was illegal. And so we were set to go to court and ended up settling ahead of time, which is good news because if you go to court, even if they award you tons of damages, it's hard to actually ever get that money. And this is money that authors will actually see, authors and publishers. The judge brought publishers under the tent too, so we're um, as also people like with interest in the money making ability of books. Um, and so, yeah, it's going to work out to something around $3,000 per work after legal fees and other fees are taken out. For trade authors, generally that will be split between the author and the publisher because our contracts, we all sign contracts that say if the copyright is infringed, and we proceed jointly, which both publishers and authors did in the sense of being absent class members, that it'll be split. And anyone who thinks that one of their books might be in it should go check out, just Google Anthropic Settlement, or the Authors Guild has a great sort of explainer. You can check if your book was included and was one of the books that they scraped and used. It doesn't give them any future right to use it. There is no licensing element of it. They will destroy their trove of pirated books. They say that they air gapped the model that they had trained on the pirated books, and then they actually ran out and bought secondhand copies of a bunch of books and used those to train the algorithm that actually eventually got released to the public, which I have a lot of feelings about, but the judge said that that was fair use. But regardless, this is not future licensing. This is just damages. This is just past looking for the copyright infringement that occurred. But yes, everyone who is an author should go check if their books are in there and file a claim if so. And then you'll be part of the class and you'll be part of the receive your share of the damages.
And they have a few months to file that, right?
Yeah, I think the deadline is March. So,
Right.
but
I've
the
got
sooner the better because then
2.
you're involved and yeah, get
I
on
have
there.
2 in there, so I gotta do that.
Gotta do
Um,
it. Yeah.
I know. So what was it like when you were sitting in the courtroom and you're, like, seeing these people who stole your work, and, like, just being in that environment?
Yeah, I think the scarier thing was probably the deposition because that was like me sitting at a long table with Anthropic's lawyers across from me asking
Wow.
question. It was an 8-hour deposition, and a thing I didn't realize about depositions is once it begins, your lawyer can't say anything to you. Can't say anything like
Hmm.
that would be considered coaching, and so basically, like you're on your own from the moment that it begins. So that was actually more intimidating. Being in the courtroom I was there for like there were two preliminary approval hearings. And it's interesting. It feels like you're in like Law and Order, but I mean, I didn't speak or anything. I just, saw the table of the people full of Anthropic's lawyers and stakeholders. And yeah, thought this is, I am glad that they are being like actually held to account for stealing our stuff. And it's sort of the first, it is not the end of the battle, obviously. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot that needs to be done. This is just the first step. And I hope that it's going to mean that a lot of other AI lawsuits that are worming their way through the courts will result in damages paid to authors, to new copyright protections, to an end to our stuff being stolen and used to train AI.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She's saying, "At AG, we fought Google on this for many years. They had been stealing copyrighted books since early 2000s." Makes me irate. "Only later would it become clear that those scans were being used for AI as well." Yeah, I mean, it's disgusting. Disgusting. Oh, wait, so did they ask you questions for 8 hours straight?
I mean, yeah, I could take a break whenever I wanted. I think the whole thing ended up
Yeah.
like 6.5 hours, but it was intense. I
Oh
mean, it's
my
me, like,
god.
me and Anthropic's lawyers. Like, I'm not a lawyer, but
So Were they like trying to trick you? Like, what did they? I mean, you wrote a book, someone stole it. It feels like a really easy conversation.
So that was my feeling too. That's why I wasn't that nervous. I was just sort of like, I have like the sword of truth and justice on my side. And there's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but basically, I mean, they asked me questions about like my AI usage and sort of were making the case of like one of their questions was, do you think writers do you think AI can be helpful to writers or can help writers? And I was like, help them what? Like write a grocery list? Like it was just such an irrelevant question to me. But one of their sort of directions they tried taking was about AI actually being a tool for writers. And they also had a lot of questions about copyright. And for me, it was slightly confusing because I have a corporation. I like do business as a loan out. And so like initially they had filed one of my publisher had filed one of my books under my name as copyright, and then it had to be changed to the corporation. And so there were some emails about that like they pulled out. And it's very confusing when somebody like brings like slaps down a piece of paper and it's like a private conversation. But I mean, I knew that I'd
Yeah.
opened my email for discovery, but they sort of asked a lot of questions about that. I think to make the case, and again, I'm speculating here, but to make the case of like, oh, it's so confusing who owns the copyright. There's no way we possibly could have gone around and gotten permission to everyone, which of course is absurd because you go to copyright.gov and it tells you who the copyright owner is. It's actually very simple.
Mhm.
But yeah, there were questions about that. There was questions about my different contracts, what they were saying about different rights and there was a number of stuff that I was just like, I'm not a lawyer. I would have to ask my agent. I don't know exactly what that means. Um, but yeah, I mean, that was the only one-on-one direct interaction I had with them because, I mean, other than in written form and responding to requests and stuff, um, because then we settled before it went to court. So
You didn't get the, sitting in front of the jury.
I was
You
never
can't
in
handle the
front. I was
truth
back.
moment.
Yes, I never had my like moment, and I was ready though. I was like,
I
I
believe
will
it.
fight,
You're like, bring it. I got
bring
things to
it.
say, baby.
It's my chance
That's
to say them
amazing.
all.
Well,
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you so much for doing that. I was so glad to see the press talking about it and you getting your very deserved flowers because it was so much time that you gave. I mean, I
Thank
can't
you.
and
Yeah, it ended up being, especially the last few weeks of it, were like very intense because the judge set very intense deadlines for figuring out a lot of stuff. But hopefully again, this is just like the first step in the right direction, and it's sort of the first time that an AI company has experienced consequences, which like I can't say enough how incredibly necessary that is. So
yes. And I think as authors we kind of are like, "Oh, wow, like because we've written books, like we're, our name will live on past this mortal coil." But as long as the American justice legal system endures, which I don't know, but you'll be there. Like that's really incredible. And it's like it's a landmark case. Like you are a landmark case. That's amazing.
it's pretty wild too, because like when I signed on to do it, there were already dozens of other much more high profile cases working through the court. So I had no way of knowing that this was going to become one that sort of, reached the finish line first. But yeah, if the courts endure, I mean, that was another reason that I didn't really want to go to trial was like, if this just gets appealed back and forth and reaches the Supreme Court, I don't know, do you have any faith in the Supreme Court right now? Like,
No, I'm glad it settled there. Like I'm so glad. I mean, obviously, right? I mean, yeah, that's good. That good all around. Also, um, that's a lot would have been more work for you too to go
yes,
that
it
way.
would have. Yeah, it would have. I mean, it's a fight I'm willing to keep fighting, but there
Yeah,
was a number of reasons that a settlement felt fair and like the best step for everyone, including authors.
yeah.
Um,
So
but
does it
I want to
oh,
talk about your book. You're so good at asking me questions, but I want to talk
ah,
about your book that comes out in 5 days.
okay. We can, but before we pivot, do you have a book idea after this experience? Like, are you going to bring some of this into, you think, a future book?
I don't. I mean, the actual experience of being a part of this landmark case was not. I don't feel like it was book worthy. It was wild to be in it, but like I can't imagine fictionalizing it. But
Mhm.
it certainly made me think a lot more about um, AI and what it's doing to us as a society and what it means for authors and what it means for readers and everything else. So like I think that could easily worm its way into some future book, some future
Oh,
thriller.
cool.
Yeah,
I would
we'll see.
That would be awesome. Yeah, for sure.
TBD.
Yeah, so I have a book coming out on Tuesday. There she is. Um, by the way, cover feel like are you with the texture of your covers? I'm weird about it.
Oh, is this one feeling
It just
interesting?
Yeah, it feels great. It feels better than the first, like, it's, like, almost got, like, a roughness to it. It's, like,
Ooh.
it feels
Mm.
good. I know. When you see it, feel it.
Okay. Okay. I can't wait.
Like, it's got a
Like
little
rubbing
texture.
it
I
against
don't
the
know.
door.
Yeah. I mean, that just, the other one was a little smoother, and this one is not. I don't know. Maybe it's because there's dirt. They're like, "Let's make this feel like dirt." I don't
Let's give it some, yeah. Let's give it a little American dirt.
I know, exactly. Well, not that, but yes. Yeah, so I mean, you've launched books. It's really exciting because this one was so hard to write. Oh my God.
Mhm.
Some books are harder than others. I mean, they're all hard. But this one was really hard. It took me, I think, almost 2.5 years. Like I really had to rewrite it a lot. So it feels really good to not have to ever write this book again.
Yeah. Just talk about it. Just talk about the final product.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and I think it's gonna I mean, it's a sequel, but, it's got my main archaeologist character, and she's back in Rhode Island, and Rhode Island is where I live now, and it's really interesting because I mean, I'm about to have a lot of conversations about colonialism in New England, which I think will be it might be see, I don't know. I'll see how this goes. You know, this is the heart of colonialism, right? So my main character finds remains that at a wealthy kids camp that are tied to um, the bloodiest battle on Rhode Island soil, which is the Great Swamp Massacre, when the colonists attacked unprovoked the Narragansett tribe, which is the one of the tribes that was here, like when the boats came over. And that battle was basically, I mean, I'm Cherokee, so like we had the Trail of Tears, and other tribes had the Trail of Tears. But for the Narragansett, that was sort of their Trail of Tears. It's when they were disrupted to such a level that a lot of people had to go into hiding. A lot of people were put into slavery, things like that. Um, and, like, some people in Rhode Island talk about it, but I've definitely had conversations where people here had never even heard of it. So, I think even though it's a contemporary thriller, I love, truth and fiction. I wanna talk about history because I think it's echoing all the time,
Yeah.
especially right now. So I'm really interested in how, people are gonna talk about it or wanna think about it, and there's also a, like, recent event that's a real thing that happened in Rhode Island, where, the Narragansett land got raided by the state police that echoes the Great Swamp Massacre. It's just that, like, history echoing thing is so interesting to me as a writer, especially unhealed history, right? It just keeps going.
Yeah. Yeah. What gave you the idea for this book, and, like, how did you go about shaping a thriller out of it?
Thanks, Michelle. You're a rock star commenter today. Um, so Blood Sisters, the first one in the series, was like my opportunity to write about Oklahoma, where I'm from. And I created this archaeologist character, but I made her live in Rhode Island, where I lived at the time and live now, and have written all of my books. And so I'd hoped to come back here after the first one, and it ended up being a series. And so I just knew that being here is like to be Cherokee from Oklahoma means my family was on the Trail of Tears, and so, we were put in a new place, and had to sort of remake our identity, our capital. We a lot was stolen from us. Like that's a like kind of it's a really different experience than being Narragansett from Rhode Island, where you live in the place that your ancestors have lived like time immemorial. And so just for me, who is connected to that community, on a superficial level, like I go to the powwow every summer, which is the oldest continuing powwow in the country. They
Oh.
just had their 350th powwow in the same place, same, the songs, the medicines. I don't know. It's just there's something really incredible to me about the fact that they're here still and they're resilient after things like the Great Swamp Massacre, right? So they're still here. And so it was for me as a writer and a person who's living here, I wanted to delve into that because it's just like what happened in those early American history days, I just think was a blueprint. And I think it just keeps, and the fact that it's like stolen land and oppression and erasure, and like that's just something we kept doing over and over to not just indigenous people, obviously the African slaves who were brought over here, but Irish people, like Italian people, like this whole marginalization outside of this sort of colonial ideal, which used to be religion, but now I think it's like money. But it's just, to me as a writer, I was just fascinated by it. And the fun challenge always is like making it a thriller.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do you make it a thriller? So I've got this main character who's an archaeologist, which means we're looking at history. I created a secret society um, that collects indigenous remains and has kind of a country club vibe, which this is where country clubs were invented in America. And that's all about control of access and resources, right? I mean, that's sort of a modern colonial ideal. Um, and then there's a rich kid camp, which is always fun to write about. And so I just sort of wove in the real history of Rhode Island and the Narragansett tribe as I felt comfortable. Like, I don't want anyone to be like, oh, I've read a Narragansett book. Like, no, you've read a book by a white presenting Cherokee woman, but but the work of my main character is here in Rhode Island and working with the tribe. Um, so I'm excited for people to read it. I mean, I think it's going to resonate no matter where you are because we all are on stolen land, myself included. And there's a lot of really great connections to be made to the indigenous life that continues. And that's sort of always what I hope with my books is that people get curious and maybe go to a powwow in your area or, community meetings. I mean, I've been to some really cool, like basket stamping
Oh,
workshops.
cool.
And yeah, there was maple tapping is a big tradition here. And so I went to a maple tapping where they told the Narragansett story about maple tapping. And then we actually tapped that. It was so
What's that?
fun. And and it dripped. It was like dripping out of the tree. Um, but we're so disconnected from nature. Like we're in our little colonial boxes, right? We just like drive from our house to our store or grocery store and back. I mean, you're a hiker, you're very in nature, but like that connection is such a, I don't know. It's a mechanism for control. Like our disconnect to this land and nature, that is how they control us, my friends. So it
Yeah.
was really cool to do.
That's yeah. Oh, that's so accurate. Yeah, my family owns my dad grew up on a farm in Wisconsin and the family still owns the woods there and we do maple tapping every year. I haven't been for decades, but they still do. But yeah, I remember being a kid and somebody pointing out on one of the maple trees there was like an old sort of scar on the tree and they were like, "Oh yeah, that was where the Indians used to like slash to make the trees run or whatever." And it was like one of those first moments that I was like, huh, like this land isn't ours, even though I think of it as like us having it
Yeah.
forever.
There's a
Yeah.
history here.
Yeah.
I love that.
The
That's
other
really
thing that
cool.
we think of is my partner's parents in North Carolina belong to a country club that's called the Colonial Country Club, and it will never fail to be the funniest, most horrific name I have ever heard. Like the Colonial Country Club. Oh no, you've frozen to me as I said, as I shared a bad joke. Friends, tell us if I'm frozen or if Vanessa's frozen
It's
to you.
fun.
Okay, no, I see
Oh,
you again.
is it me or it's
I
me?
know I
Okay,
asked
sorry. All
people
right.
to
I
tell
got
us.
cool.
No one revealed. You're
Okay,
good.
sorry. I'm back. Wait,
Um,
Colonial Country Club,
Colonial
continue.
Club. Oof, oof. Yeah, I said it, and then you were just frozen without a reaction, and I was like, "Ooh, I know it's a bad joke.
No,
That's the point."
no, no, no. No, that's amazing. I mean, no, a lot of the country clubs I hear also have the I would call it like an Indian head, like, profile. The schools. I was just had an interview with a library podcast, and she's like, there's so many schools out here that have like an Indian head as the mascot. I'm like, I know, babe. I know.
Yeah, it's not great. We don't love that.
It's not great. It's not. And in the year of our Lord 2025, but I don't know. It's kind of wild. So yeah, but launching, here we go. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to go to bookstores.
Yeah,
What do you do before your launches to like get in the zone or
I try to fit in a little time in nature, like you said. Like
Mhm.
knowing that it's going to be sort of this marathon, and knowing that you're going to have to do so much, like spend so much energy being on, which is exciting, which was fun, but which also is like draining in a particular way. I try to like top off kind of the well beforehand,
Mhm.
and like get in, whether that's like a hike or just more time in the park or whatever it is. But yeah, what are you doing with like sort of your last 5 days of pre pub freedom?
Yeah, I have an event on Sunday and Monday. My event.
So make
Yeah,
that 3 days
yeah,
counting.
yeah, yeah. But Saturday, I think I'm actually gonna go to the Tamaqua Museum, which is the museum here run mostly by Narragansett folks. And it's like the Tribal Museum of New England. I'm gonna buy some. They have a great little gift shop. I'm gonna buy some gifts for my publisher, and doing all that, and also just like stop by and say hi. And it's out in nature, so I might take my dog if she's not being terrible, and like do a walk or a hike. But I think that's important. And it is like the grounding is like
Yeah.
it's to like get off my phone. Like I feel like with the launch, you're so like in your phone.
Yeah, just like refreshing Instagram, like trying not to
It's
miss
like
anything.
crazy. I know, and like once it goes live, like Amazon rankings, which they're hardly ever good for print. I mean, I don't know why I torture myself, but
Yeah.
eh,
Yeah. Suddenly so many like metrics and so much data, and like you don't know how to interpret any of it, but you can't look away. So that's
cannot.
good to get some grounding in.
No.
I have kind of a craft question, which
Mm.
is like, can you talk about when you wrote oh my gosh, this is the problem with my brain, the book before, which I loved.
Yeah, Blood
Uh,
Sisters. Yes.
Thank you, the Blunt Sisters. I was like, Bone Thief, no. Um, did you envision it already being a series? And
Mhm.
like, what were the unique challenges of sort of picking up a character that was existing from a world that was already you'd already created, and putting it into a new story?
So I because I was so I'm very specifically wanted to create a character who was in my lane of books published. There's more now than ever, but that's not a lot. And so I was like, if I want to write a series, I know it's going to have like even specifically a white presenting Cherokee from Oklahoma. Like I was not going to go any further than my lane of experience because like that's a seat the people and publishing has very limited seats. So I was never going to write a Chickasaw person from like the idea of that. So maybe someday, but I knew. So if I was going to do that very narrow kind of point of view, I thought if I could do a series, it would be really cool because then I would have this character that I feel comfortable in that world with them and their identity, and then I could also, but she could maybe interact with other tribes. And like I thought of Rhode Island. I have ideas for other books if the series continues. But so I did think that would be like a fun thing to do. So when the book ended up going to auction, and so I think I had maybe 5 different conversations with editors. And most of them were into the series thing. There was one who was like, "We want it as a standalone." And so for me, I was just like, "No, I really do want it to be a series." So that had sort of, pivoted me a little bit that way. Um, but I kind of don't know that I don't know that publishing loves a series anymore. I mean,
Mhm.
I think if you have a very successful one now, like you were given like the runway, but I just think you're sort of like our average thriller reader, I think they do love a series in theory, but I just think it's hard to get the big sexy things around a sequel. Like I think they want like a standalone could get a book of the month. A standalone could get into Target. It could get like unless you're like a big series, I think it's really hard to get the things that publishers want us to get to be like successful.
Mhm.
Um yeah, but because Blood Sisters did pretty well. Um and I think, the Bone Thief doesn't have so for Blood Sisters I was a Target pick. That was huge. This was like hardcovers in Target. I mean, that's like I soaked that up because I did not know if that train would come back. Um, but for the Bone Thief, there's like a couple like smaller fun things that have come up, but like other than that, it's gonna just be sales. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that that's sort of how it often will go with the series. I even noticed with like really successful ones because I'm kind of watching.
Yeah.
Um, is it Nina Prose who has the Maid series?
Yeah.
I think now she's writing a standalone.
Yeah. Yeah. She like finished writing about the maid. and he
Yeah,
would,
so
yeah,
and maybe that was more an her personal choice, like, I don't know, but one way or the other, like, that has sort of closed, and I'm sure her publisher is, like, very excited to get a standalone from her because that's sort of where the market is, I think. So,
yeah.
I'm very happy I did it because I love both of these books, and maybe it can continue, I mean, we'll see, but I'm not like, the 2 books I'm working on right now are not sequels,
Gotcha.
they're 2 standalones.
Interesting. Are but this book, though it is a sequel, can be read by somebody who has not read Blood Sister.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely written. There's, like, 3 paragraphs that basically summarize all of Blood Sisters or
everything you
the
need to know.
things you need to know. Yes, for sure. Yeah, so you
Yeah,
can just pick it up, but I think is sort of knowing those characters well because you, um, in character and
oh, shoot, I'm
place
losing your audio.
going yeah, to see.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, you
Oh,
broke up
sorry.
a little bit for me, but I think I see you again in
Okay,
real.
am I back? Sorry. I wonder the weather, it's so windy here. I wonder if that's killing my internet. I don't know.
Oh, I would
Um,
part of it. That's possible.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, pivoting. After Hello Sunshine, you went on a writer's retreat. So, you must be working on something new.
Yeah. So we tacked on a little writing retreat also in LA after the Shine Away conference for some of the authors who are out there. So I'm working on book six right now,
Amazing.
which is scheduled to come out in 2027. They actually just, my editor just asked, like, do you want it to be in spring or summer? And my agent was like, I prefer spring. And I was like, well, I have 10,000 words, so that's not going to happen. It's not gonna be ready in time for it to come out early in 2027, and it'll be, in fact, a real real marathon, real race to get it out in summer of 2027. Um, but, yeah, I sold this right before the last Fairy Out came out, which I'm always glad I did. I like to have it sold before a book comes out so that if it bombs, like this book did, I still have the next deal already on lock. But yeah,
Mhm.
this one's really fun. It's a kind of horror slash thriller mashup. It's got some haunted house elements. It's like
Good.
a young woman in an apartment in Chicago, in a luxury apartment in Chicago, who um, is arrested for her neighbor's murder and put on house arrest. And then while she's
Ooh.
sort of trapped in her little luxury studio, creepy things start happening. And so the only way for her to sort of free herself, literally, is to solve the mystery. So it's really fun, like combining those elements, doing something a little bit different, and kind of, yeah, weaving together a haunted house with a whodunit. So it's like fun to describe, but I'm having a very hard time writing it.
Well,
And I
writing
had,
sucks, Andy,
yeah,
writing sucks, so
writing is always terrible. I had like 35,000 words and then realized I had like the beats all wrong. And what I
Mhm.
thought was supposed to happen at the midpoint actually needed to happen at the break into two, like 20%. So
Mhm.
I am going back to the beginning and weaving in some of what's already there and writing some new stuff. But it's slow going. But I'm just reminding myself it's always hard. It's always hard, and we do it anyway and
And
continue
and
doing
and once you get the engine going, I bet you'll have
it.
a stretch of where it's easier.
I hope so. I really hope so. I
You're
need that.
so skeptical.
We'll see. But tell me about the two projects that you're working on, and what is it
Oh my
like
god.
working on two projects at once? I mean, in as much
Well,
detail as you want, but
working on is a generous term for one of them. So the one I'm obsessed with right now is a speculative thriller.
ooh,
I call it my sexy Da Vinci Code. It has basically the most famous archaeologist in the world is abducted, and the words heretic and ancient Greek are written in blood in her house. And so her sort of in the shadows archaeologist daughter is brought back. She's like at Harvard, is has to come back into this like world of archaeology to try to find her mother. And there's like weird Opus Dei stuff. And then it really takes a turn because then it's like there's real archangels, there's a real devil, there's real Lilith. Like I want to use these like archetypal biblical figures. There's a lot of like Gnostic gospels because I'm obsessed with the Gnostic gospels and the voices often female that were left out of the Bible. So it's pretty wild. I love it. Um,
sounds amazing.
after yeah, it's great. I mean, she's been on maternity. And so she's going to come back and I'd be like, hi, I have this insane book for you to read. I'm very excited about it.
Love that.
So I don't know. It's like I'm writing about Egypt and I've never been there, which is not usually my MO. But you can do a lot of like YouTube temple tutorials, which are really cool.
I believe that.
Um, yeah, and like such weird stuff. Like, I didn't know this until I was like getting into the research, but they think that Mary Magdalene like left after Christ's crucifixion and went to France.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They think she took like Lazarus, who was her brother, and a couple other Marys. There's like three women named Mary on a boat. And they were sort of in hiding. That's why some people say maybe she was pregnant with Jesus's child or whatever. But um, though that like, but there's an oral tradition in like Provence of France, and there's a basilica of Mary Magdalene where they have her skull in gold that you can go pray to, supposedly her skull. Um, and then they have a cave not far from that church, um, which maybe also has like a femur bone or something. But supposedly she lived in this cave, kind of like a monk or whatever, for like 30 years after she. Oh, it's
I want to hear
wild.
about her second act.
I know. Yeah. So it's cool I mean, a lot of this, people are very dismissive, which is fine. But coming from like an indigenous place where oral storytelling is how we endured, and like I take that seriously. So if you tell me for hundreds, if not over 1,000 years, well, yeah, 1,000+ years, 2,000 years, um, people in France have been saying that Mary Magdalene lived there and they built a whole church to her. Like, I don't know. I kind of lean that way. Like, I believe it. So I'm just gonna write this, and also like there's archangels. Like, why not? I think it's a product of I've been reading a lot of romantasy. I think it's seeping into my thriller brain.
I absolutely love that. But again, that's one where like lots and lots of religions and now even some sort of like some people who are believing in starting to believe more in the paranormal and that kind of stuff are talking about these like sort of celestial beings and like intelligent life. And I don't know, I'm thinking of like the telepathy tapes podcast and other stuff like
Yes.
that. But yeah, lots of religions and lots of people believe in the concepts like angels. So like why not? Why not include that in your book? I love it.
Why not? I know. And Lilith is so Lilith as a figure, so she was first written about in Mesopotamia and sort of like Iraq. And then she was a Jewish figure. And then she sort of moved in the Book of Enoch into sort of like Christian circles. So I love us like an energy that's in different traditions. And she's such an interesting kind of figure and controversial, I guess. So it's fun to look and see how people characterize her. Like there's the goddess in Mesopotamia, Ishtar, and supposedly Lilith was her sort of like her like Lilith would pretend to be a prostitute and like go out into the cities to kill evil men.
Love that.
Like, yeah, that works for me.
Yeah,
We can work with this. We
we
can
can
work
work
with
with
this.
that. That's a novel right there. I'm in.
Right. So it'll be fun. And then my other one was um I'm calling it the Cherokee House, which I meant to say, like, right now in thrillers, adding those horror elements, which you're doing, is so smart. And I think that's the vibe right now, like a little more horror. And so I've got,
Yeah.
yeah, like, 20 pages of a book that the engine for me, that, the thing you're like so excited to write about in the books is that my main character is a poker player. Obsessed with poker. And she's on the run from the Kansas City mob, and her only asset is her family's Cherokee allotment land. But there's a serial killer tied to that house. So she has to solve the crime in order to, not get her legs broken by the mob.
I mean, that sounds super, super fun. So was either of these on contract or are these like you're writing them for fun right
They
now?
are both going out to sub. So
Okay. Okay.
it's going to be an exciting 2026.
Wow. Hats off. That's amazing. I
Yeah.
love yeah, just like having a story that you so want to tell that you just like dive into it. Um, Okay, I want to know, are you a poker player yourself? But then also, even more importantly, like what's going on with you in archaeology that this keeps becoming a big thing in your, ooh, we got a dog barking.
She's sorry, she's
How did
insane.
you, yeah, how did you convincingly write an archaeologist? And how
Ooh,
it's obviously
yeah,
through the
I did some research. I talked to some archaeologists. I did some research. There's also a beautiful memoir of a forensic archaeologist called The Bone. I think it's The Bone Woman. Like DM me if you want the author's name, where she goes into like war torn countries that have mass graves, and but it's just it's narrative. It's like her emotions and her experience. And I just thought for archaeology, one of the people I had also interviewed had sort of this. I don't know if it's like a softness, but it's like they see themselves as this like midwife from the past to the future. Like, they're there to help, especially for a BIA, Bureau of Indian Affairs archaeologists. They're working directly with the tribes, but also they have a boss that is the federal government, and they're like BIA. The point of it originally, which was in the Department of War, which is maybe coming back, was to erase indigenous people, eliminate them. And like, so that's the original intent, right? So you just get why things are created, colonialism, whatever. It's like that was why BIA was originally intended. So when I created this character, the idea that she would have a foot, and BIA is not necessarily like that now. There are many good people in it, including my uncle who worked his whole career there. My brother worked there for like 20 years. Like, there's good people in it, but the history of it is fraught. And within tribal communities today, there's tons of distrust, of course. So I was like, as a writer, I was like, oh God, the conflict. Like, she's trying to do right by the tribes that she represents. So if a cable company comes in and they like want to blast a bunch of cables through indigenous land, and, and it's going to happen, it's like they have to try to help find a middle road where maybe they can still have part of this that's important to them. Like, it's a hard negotiation between capitalism, right, and the traditions that have never been valued in this country. So
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this would be really cool. And I really didn't know a lot about archaeology. I mean, I think we all know like Indiana Jones. Um, but as I got into it, I was like, okay, so archaeology really reflects the mentality of erasure. And museums have a very long and dark history of using remains and artifacts of and erase, and in some ways, I think minimizing cultures, or even saying they're not around and don't exist anymore. And through writing both these books, I'm actually like all the way on this other side of things, where I'm like, I don't actually think museums should have anything that isn't given to them by the countries of origin. Like, I don't think we should have, I don't think we should have mummies in our museums unless Egypt said it's okay. I just don't. I think I understand that the tradition has not been that way. I know rich men were able to buy whatever they wanted for hundreds of years and put them in museums, and education is important, but I think then maybe you have good relationships with other countries and you collaborate. And also the idea that things have been taken from countries, and the voice of it that's given to us is not even in the voice of those people. It's written by
Right.
white people from America who would maybe have never even stepped foot in that country. Like, that's the lens or the context in which we're given this information. We've, I cannot. So I from the journey of these books, I've really gotten kind of radical about my views, because it doesn't, I mean, I think a lot of us are thinking about it because the heist at the Louvre, right?
Yeah.
Like
I was
those.
gonna say, like, what's your take on the heist then?
Well, I don't. I mean, I love it. Like, I don't like. I'm sorry. I don't. I think it's fascinating and exciting. But there's, you know, when you're. I saw, because I'm on archaeology TikTok. There was a statue, and I'm see if I can get it right. But basically, it was like a woman, a statue of a woman, and I believe it was from Greece, and it was a part series of sisters, and all of the sisters are still in the temple in Greece except for one. She's in, I think it was the Louvre, and it's like that. That she should be reunited with her sisters, and the people of Greece, I believe, have asked for it back, and it's not been given back, which we understand as a country because there's 100,000 indigenous remains and shells in museums and universities in this country. So, like, there's no, we're all glass house here, but it's certainly like, to me, it just there's something, like, cruel about it, this and to have these objects, especially funerary, because that means they were put in the ground when someone had passed, and their family had ceremony and stood over them and wept for them and said goodbye to them and thought that that was sort of the end, right? Like, this is and now they're behind glass for people to look at. I don't it's just
Yeah.
it's all very odd to me now.
Yeah, it's like sanctioned grave robbery. Like,
Mhm.
wouldn't be cool with somebody
Which
digging up whatever, someone was buried with
yeah,
within
and I
recent
mean yeah, I mean, in the bone thief, I mentioned a case in Rhode Island where a sachem and his daughter's bones were dug up, and the family sued, and the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the grave robbers. So it's happening. It happens all the time and continues. I had some people tell me like really messed up privately things about stuff they had seen in their university systems. Like
Wow.
terrible remains stories of things that were not taken care of that should never have been there. But again, that's sort of the culture that we come from, and that's a narrative to support that narrative of it's okay that we stole land, it's okay that our country was built by enslaved labor. It's okay that women could have credit cards before 1970. Just like there's to support all of that. There's a lot of lies and misinformation to make the infrastructure. I think so. I don't know.
That is very true. This book is timelier than ever, unfortunately. But yeah, sounds very, very relevant for today. What do you hope this will be my last question because then I think we should figure out how to do our giveaway. But, what
Yes,
do you
let's
hope
do a
that
giveaway.
readers take away from The Bone Thief?
I hope they connect to their local indigenous communities. I think that it would f it I know it feels good because I do it too. Like, I love being connected to the Narragansett community here, the local museum. I actually just joined the board at my first board meeting tonight. Um, and so because I think that what we don't always naturally know because we live in a colonial place, is that being connected, to, like, the land and the traditions of the land that we live on feels really good. Even if we're not from the place, right? We live here now, and the land and nature, like, the kind of indigenous perspective is that we should have a kinship with it, and that's not a narrative we're taught, a part of how we view the world usually, and I feel like if you can't in a community, there will be a natural bridge to a lot of that philosophy that's gonna feel really good. You're gonna be able to get out in nature a little bit. You're gonna, like, learn about the house and trees and land and stories all connect. It's cool to learn about language. Language tells you so much about a culture. The words and what does a tree mean in the language of the indigenous people where, like, that it's really neat to learn about because there's often, different meanings, like, one for Cherokee, actually, one of my favorite words is kamama, which means butterfly, but it also means, elephant because of the ears.
That's amazing. Very, very
So it's
different animals.
they're very different, but visually, I
Yeah,
get it.
but I get it. I get it. That's okay, so here's a question, here's an example, like, my partner and I have a house in the Catskills, and we saw signs that were for, a powwow, like, big
Ooh,
certain date in October, a big powwow.
yeah,
We just had a discussion where I was like, "We should go and check it out," and my partner, kind of understandably, was a little more hesitant and was like, "I feel like we're just gonna be white people being kind of like looky-loos, at
mm.
this culturally significant and religiously significant event." So I guess A, what do you say to that? But then B, like, how can people like, what's like an actionable and like doable step that people can take to get more connected with their local Native community?
Yeah, well, if they're advertising it, they want you to come. So absolutely go. And I think there's a natural like pride and an interest in sharing, especially because, you know, likely the generations were like in hiding or unable. Well, legally you couldn't have they probably had to have those powwows in private or secret until the 70s because it was illegal to practice religion, and often powwows were viewed as religion, depending on the laws there. But nationally, it was illegal. So like the ability to like come out and celebrate is so fun. Like artistically, it's amazing. I'm sure they'll have lots of vendors so you can buy stuff, and maybe they'll have some like Indian tacos or like whatever locally, so that's a fun way to sort of see what local, dishes are there. And also like there's probably like some community organizations there that do work, or yeah. So because it'll be more, and if, I mean, this is a generalization of the few powwows I've, it's the dancing and it's, the sharing of stories and sharing of ceremony, which is, again, if it's open to the public, that's great. But then it's also like seeing what else is going on in the tribal community. It's the local artists and the beadworks um, but also like if there's a museum, they might be selling books. So there's an opportunity to kind of see what that community is, and it's fun to see like where you might plug into like an art class or a hike. You guys would love that. Like a lot of here we have these nature walks where like a member of the Narragansett tribe will like lead people around, talk about their relationship to different plants and animals and land and different trails, often in association with different land trusts and things. So it's a cool way to kind of find where your interest might be. Like maybe you're not into the beadwork stuff, but you are really into the like nature preservation and like learning more about their relationship with the birds and the trees and like what that could look, the water, all of that. So I think it'll be fun. You guys should go. Like you're not gonna like dance, but they're really good. You're not gonna want to. I mean, they have intertribal dances where in theory I could like up there, but I'm like, no. I'm like so intimidated because it's so good. And I'm like, no, I can't.
I love that. And then for anyone who doesn't have a powwow that's like being advertised in their community, like where should they start?
Yeah, I mean, just Googling about the land itself and then, finding out the name of the tribe and then sort of seeing if there's like a community center or what, like there should be something. And
Yeah,
then,
I think there's
it
events.
also, yeah, there should be events, kind of, and then, or even just things that are happening. I mean, so like in St. Louis, for example, I was just reading about how they call it the Sugar Loaf Mounds, which are these mounds that were built and just got returned to the community the Osage community there. So there also might even be like actual things happening with the indigenous community that you could like get involved in and like learn more about. So, and it's likely, like, especially around like the like water protection, like there might be some like really important issues that matter to you if you drink water or breathe air. And often the indigenous community, they were leaders in the Alcatraz. They got Alcatraz, I mean, the alligator Alcatraz basically got shut down because of the local tribal community there suing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So just give it a Google or go
Give
to
it
a
a
powwow.
Google. Give it a Google. Do minus AI so that you're not also having AI tell you anything. Um, if you do Google, are you there? You froze a little bit for me. If I'm finding if I give it a second, you come back. Where's Vanessa? Or maybe I'm frozen to you guys. I can't tell. Um,
Oh,
are you there? There you are. Okay,
I
you're
can
back. You're
I
back.
I can see you.
Yay! I was just like talking to myself. Okay, let's do a giveaway. So we're going to give away a copy of your book, and I'm going to give away a copy of The Last Fairy Out, which I didn't think to grab
Yay.
beforehand and should have. Um, how should we do this? Should we each write down a number between 1 and 100, and then have anyone who wants to enter afterward put down a number, and then we'll reveal? Should we do that, or do you have a better idea?
I do have a better idea.
Okay, please do that.
Um, I think the very first person who commented on our post should be the winner.
Oh, that was, and yes, incredible,
Michelle.
Michelle.
Michelle Richmond,
Michelle, you here?
we will
Are you
send you some
still with us?
books.
Yes, Michelle had great questions and was very engaged. I think that's great.
Oh, good. Thank you. Just after I have an Instagram live show and I always give away books and I always do cheating things like that. Like, oh, you left a really cute emoji. You're the winner.
You're the winner. You're the winner. Sorry, everyone
So,
else, but
Michelle Richmond, we're going to find you if you are already off and you're the winner because you asked great questions. And I agree that we should all be shouting out Andy's work for AI, against AI, because
yes, yes,
it's
yeah,
incredible. And I'm so glad that you did that. We had a pretty good group here. Geez, 35. That's
yeah,
amazing. Thank you
35.
guys.
Guys for coming. Thank you for joining us. This will be, if you missed the beginning, I think we'll both be sharing this, so the replays will be available where we talk more about the AI case, we talk more about the bone thief and the plot and where the idea came from. So be sure to check that out. But everybody, pre-order or buy as of Tuesday, The Bone Thief. You are going to love it. It's twisty, it's archaeological, it's own voices, it's all those things. And yeah, thanks Vanessa for your time. This was super fun.
This It was amazing. It's so good to see you, and I'm just so excited for the new book and all the things you got cooking. Oh my god, your podcast! I didn't even talk. We probably need to do another one of these. Your podcast, I've been loving it, Andy. It's so
Oh yeah.
good.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's me and Gretchen Schreiber. The first season's out now, 6 episodes, but it's called Write the Book, Play the Game. And it's all about the business of being an author because we felt like there was lots of stuff about craft and lots of stuff about like finding an agent, but not a lot about surviving as a mid-list author like us. So hopefully it's helpful for people.
It's awesome. I love it. Yeah, everyone go listen to the whole season. I've loved every episode. You guys did such a great job.
Thank you so much. But all right, well, thank you again for doing this and everyone have a great Thursday.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for being my first on Substack Live.
Yay, anytime. Mwah.
Bye, guys.